In this video, I will be giving you an introduction to exponents, specifically all the exponential rules in the terms of variables, such as x, a, and y. But remember, this is only part 1. For part 2, I will be explaining more advanced exponential equations that deal with more, let's just say, variables and simplifying them. But for right now, let's just go over these math problems. So whenever you have a math problem that goes something like a to the power of 8 over a to the power of 5, and you're dividing them both, in this case it's a fraction, remember the base, so I'll bring out my pen here. The equation is basically like, let me change this to a thickness. Okay, reset. A to the power of 8 divided by a to the power of 5. So that's what this math problem states, right? But because a and a are both the same variable, we can assume that they both equal the same amount. So whenever that happens, we can just solve this math problem by doing a to the power of 8 minus 5, which in turn equals a to the power of 3. So just to review, if two numbers have the same base but different exponents, you can just subtract the exponents when dividing it. Now here comes x to the power of 3 times x to the power of 2. So this is, you don't really need to write the multiplication sign, but it's not that important. After like 8th grade, it's not that important. So assuming last time, the opposite of division is multiplication and the opposite of subtraction is addition. So you can assume that this math problem is going to say to do x to the power of 2 plus 3. So remember, if the two numbers have the same variable, that means they're equal to each other. That means you can just you can just add the powers. So 3 plus 2. But remember, this was a division sign, it would just be x, 3 minus 2. So our answer would be x to the power of 5. Now here comes the tricky one. X to the power of 2 to the power of 2. For this, it's a lot more simpler than you think. It's just x to the power of 2 times 2. And 2 times 2, or 2 squared, is 4. Okay. Now let's move on to a little more of a harder one. These don't have the same base. But what do they have in common? You guessed it, they both have the power of 2. So, in this math problem, I'm just going to write to the side x equals 2 and y equals 3. Now, you don't have to solve the whole entire thing by doing 2 to the power of 2 and 3 to the power of 2. You can just multiply these numbers. So 2 times 3. But remember, you need to put a parentheses to the power of 2. So now that we assume that it's 2 times 3, I think you know how to solve it. The answer to this is just x times y to the power of 2. So if both of the numbers have a variable that is different but have the same power, then the bases can just be multiplied together with parentheses, remember, because I've seen a lot of math problems where they say this, -5, to the power of 2. But this math problem is really tricky because it's actually -1 times 5 to the power of 2. So there's a difference between -5 to the power of 2 and this, -5 to the power of 2. They might seem the same thing, but they're really not. Okay? Enough of that. So the answer for this is x times y to the power of 2. Okay, let's move on to this one. This one is asking, what is x to the power of 2 divided by y to the power of 2? Now, they both have the same base. So, assuming you know the answer to this question, I think you can guess that the answer is x divided by y to the power of 2. So, if they have the same power, the bases can just be multiplied or divided based on the problem to the same power. Now, I know I didn't write this one out, but this one is very important. Now, what would you do if you have something like x to the power of -2? I encourage you to pause and think about it. Assuming that you've paused the video, the answer to this would be 1 times x to the power of 2 over 1. So then this problem flips up to be x to the power of 2. Now, this may seem unnecessary, but when you have really large exponential problems that you have to solve and simplify, this is a very big part of it. So, I hope you like part 1 of exponential equations. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. Thank you. Bye.